Right, guys, welcome back. This is the Above Average FPL podcast. It's Sunday evening. This is our first look at game week 29. We're going to look through game week 28 and see how everyone got on. A lot of things happening, penalties everywhere. Some people on the right side of the coin, some people on the wrong side of the coin. Bit of a week for that. As always, my name's Adam and joined by Baker. How you doing, mate?
I'm okay. Okay. Not been a particularly great week. Feel pretty unlucky this week, but it's weird, isn't it? I feel pretty unlucky, but you don't feel that unlucky because
Because you capped
I
Salah.
didn't cap Harper because I capped
Yeah.
Salah. So I mean, I look at it this week and I was like, I mean, like I really could do with a good week. It's been a long time since I had a good week, and then you watch the Boomo and that Villa Everton, that Villa Brentford
Brentford.
game was certainly the one. Rodgers obviously by. Not even Rodgers is the one offside, isn't it? It's like just the kneecap of Watkins, and then that you don't get the Rodgers goal, you don't get the Boomo pens. You're like, I need something, I need something. But hey, it's it, it turned out to be a relatively nothing week for me. I think
I think it's
depends how your boy Bowen does tomorrow night.
yeah, obviously, I mean, I've got a couple still to play. I feel exactly the same. It's definitely a different feeling going into a game week where like games don't matter. Like because you pick 11 players, but when two of them don't matter, like three in effectively three, right? If you include the captaincy, right?
Mm.
Three don't matter. Like it doesn't make any
Yeah,
difference. Oh, Salah scores 15 points. Okay, good. Everyone else had him. Oh, Palmer scored 1 point. Okay, fine. Everyone else had him. Like it's like it
and I,
doesn't make a difference.
and I guess that is the deal, in it? Full stop. Like in FPL is. Um, I was talking with Late Riser on Friday, and we were talking about like the common view is always going to be look at the ownership of Mo, you know what I mean? And whereas no one ever sort of looks at it and goes, look at I'm going to get 100% of Palmer.
Yeah, yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Is it's almost always that people will look at the vast majority. I think in FPL, a lot of people do look in quite a defensive manner. That is um, something we are, but. It is also a little bit of when it's close, it's like what range of emotions do you want to face? Because if you had, like you said, if you had Salah cap and you had Palmer, it's just nothing in it. Do you know what I mean? You weren't gonna get hurt by those pair, and you weren't gonna gain by those pair. It was just gonna be whatever the scores were. But on the other flip side, you had the chance to win big, and you always had the chance that you would lose bad. I guess for you, that's the question because you changed. Because Thursday night you were, or Friday night, even Friday, yeah, just before the deadline, you were on Palmer. So
Yeah.
what happened there?
I guess I was just thinking about it. I just thought about it over sort of Saturday morning, and it's funny because I was gonna talk about this anyway, but and I don't know whether I mentioned this before, but a few weeks ago I did a training course, right, and it was about giving feedback, and there was some good actors involved and all this sort of stuff. Really, really good, like immersive course. Actually, for training, it was like those trainings you go on, you're like, oh no, this one was actually
Yeah,
really, really good, and you know. One of the things that came up about giving feedback was, the state of mind of yourself and the state of mind of the person when you're going into this conversation. And I immediately just brought out my FPL, like in my brain, I know how it's supposed to work, right? How I acted in the past, forget that for a second. But I was like, well, you want to get it into a situation where, the person isn't too sort of up here or down here. So you're sort of in the middle so you can have a nice balanced conversation. And so that any feedback's given is received well. And, you can both come out of the conversation feeling like you've both got something out of it. And immediately my brain went, well, why the hell do I not do this in FPL? Why do I not get myself into a balanced frame of mind when I'm picking my FPL teams?
this
And
is it.
it's
Zen
like,
Adam.
this is my eureka moment. It's my, it's my light bulb moment. So, yeah, I guess Saturday morning I was just like, well, I just can't be asked with the hassle of, you know, dealing with a player that, obviously you say blanked again and again and again. Obviously, the penalty, the penalty's the penalty, whatever. But
Yeah.
it was just like, I just don't need it at the moment. I just don't need it. So, so, so I switched. So I switched and I just switched and I did it. Didn't tell anyone. I just switched. Didn't even mention it to you, did
Yeah.
I?
Well, I only realised when you said to me, is actually when in just like our Spurs chat when the end of the game, and you were like, oh well, now all I need to avoid is Cliver and what was another
I just
Munoz.
wanted to, yeah, Munoz and Cliver. Yeah.
Yeah, it was all you need to do is avoid that, and then suddenly I was like, oh, don't you need to avoid Salah?
Yeah.
Oh no, he
No.
doesn't.
No.
I was like, oh, get
No. So
in.
it worked out nicely.
Yeah. I mean, the signs, obviously, the signs, I feel like the signs got more positive Saturday morning for that the minutes were going to be okay. Not just the minutes, not necessarily the minutes okay, because once he started, but you thought he was starting. It felt like he was starting.
Yeah, agreed.
So therefore, is once you sort of feel like he's probably starting, you're like, how do you go against it?
And they could have
How do
been
you go
well. They could
against
have
it?
been well up earlier on in the game as well. I mean, I know they were a bit sloppy first half, but they still could have
Mm.
been. They still had chances in that early on. We'll talk about the game.
We'll
We'll
do that
talk
game
about the
first,
game.
mate. We'll do that game first.
Um, so
Because
shout
it's
out to
important.
everyone.
Get
Hmm.
that game done. We'll timestamp it. So if you're on now, we'll do the Liverpool game first. There'll be timestamps, so you can just flick past it. If you're a Palmer cap and you don't want to listen to that bit, you can just get past that bit and we're going to that.
Yeah, sounds good.
Then we'll do the Palmer cap because you want to skip past that bit too. And then you can listen to the other 7 games.
Sounds good. Sounds good. Shout out to everyone who's joined us in the chat. Raptors in the chat. Saw Harry in the chat. As always, did I see Harry in the chat, or am I just lying to myself? No, I'm just
I don't
lying
know
to
what I did.
myself. He's not in the chat.
But,
Flappy's in the chat.
but cool. Flappy's in the chat every week at the moment because Flappy's the best bloody FPL player in the world.
He's just in every single stream everywhere, just saying how good. No,
Honestly.
I mean to be fair, he's our striker, one of our strikers in our SKLW.
Oh,
So
he's king of the
literally
world, mate.
carrying us, literally carrying us. So
Yeah.
all the usual suspects. So Jonathan's in the chat, Heather's in there, Nigel's in there, Jonathan Gibbons is in there, Eddie, Peter Tisdale. Shout out to all of you guys. Hope you're having a good Sunday evening. If you've capped Salah, well done. If you've capped Palmer, I mean, it's just one of those things. And we'll move on to next week. Salah's not playing next week, so absolute bonus there. You don't have to worry about that next week.
People have got to think. People have got to think. As a state of the game, it's not good. It's not good. The fact of Salah just keep scoring all these points. I played golf this morning, and Michael, who I was playing golf with, went, lovely, wasn't it? Everyone got the old 30 points from Salah yesterday. And I was like, well, not everyone. He's like, what do you mean? He's playing Southampton. Who wouldn't pick Salah against Southampton? I said, we're wary of the minutes. Salah plays every game, doesn't he? Like, do we sometimes just make this game really bloody complicated? Because he just went, Salah's playing Southampton. Thanks very much.
Cheers. Move on. Yeah, maybe we do.
And I was like, maybe we do. Maybe we do. But that is it. If everyone just leaves it on Salah every week, you've got to try and make up small gains everywhere. And it's tough.
But did we not do this last year with Haaland, for fuck's sake? Did
Yep.
we not just leave it on Haaland? It didn't seem like a big deal last year.
If
Like it never seemed like an issue though, did it?
If Salah don't sign his contract next year, I don't know what any of us do.
I love it. I love it. Just bring back the chaos. I do enjoy it.
Anyway,
Game week scores.
what we're doing?
Game week scores. Game week scores. Admin. Game week 29 prep, and then games. So we've got like 5 minutes to cover all this. So yeah, I've still got a couple of games to play. A couple of players to play. I've got Bowen and Isak tomorrow night. Bit rubbish at the back. Raya with 3, Gabriel 2, Mikolenko 2, and Trent 2. Meh. Palmer's 1.
I mean, right, that's like the best performance you'll ever see for only 3 points.
Yeah.
From Raya.
Yeah, it's true. It's true.
But also bad for the goal.
Yeah, but did you also see? I mean, did you see that at half time they were marking out how far away the wall was? How pathetic was that? Like, it don't matter. It's a great free kick. I got Bumo's 2 points. Whoa. I got Bumo's 2 points. Sorry, that was a bit of a light malfunction. Bumo's 2 points. Salah's 30, obviously. Wissa 2 points. And João Pedro's 95th minute penalty. What a man he is. Wins the penalty, scores a penalty. You say it every week, mate. He's so good at it. And then
it couldn't have been a more epitome of João Pedro was that moment. Like, it's exactly what he wants to do.
Yeah. Dreamy.
Because he knows he's going to take it.
Yeah. And then I got Dango, Ain't Nori, and Castagna on the bench for nothing. So 53 points, small red for now. We'll see. Hopefully like a 2-2 draw with Bowen and Isak goals. That'd be nice. Something like that would be good for me. Over to you.
Yeah, I don't think I would particularly hugely mind that. I mean, I'd rather Bowen didn't get a brace, but I would like Isak to score. Yeah, so I've 2 points more than you, but you've got Bowen. So if Bowen turns up, we're at least level any return, and you've won the week. But yeah, it's a pretty disappointing week. Obviously, Pickford, that well, at least a clean win early.
Yeah.
Colwill snuck over. Colwill match Munoz. I'll take that. Take that. Gavin Trent. Clive got 5 points and probably should like a huge load more than the 5 points he got. Obviously, Matt Cap. Bumo, Palmer, Rogers. Yeah. I mean, miss a penalty. Should have got 2 penalties and had a goal disallowed. Those three, again, that midfield could have been incredible for me this week. Isak Wood up top. Yep. Move on. Go to the next one. I mean, look, it's like 4 or 5 million game week ranks these.
Yeah, this is middling. Like
Because I don't know if you noticed it. This wasn't necessarily like individual performances this week. It was almost like the cumulatives. Is when you add up the total ownership of Palace defence, it's now like 60-70%. And then
most big guys were owning like rocking Henderson and Munoz, and you're like facing 17 points against or 16 points against, and you're like, that's not ideal.
And then people have been sitting on Forest all season, and so the Sells and the Ironers, you know what I mean? There's a few Milenkovic, sorry, still around.
Like Stephen in the chat, Stephen Hinchy says 86 points with Bowen and Isak to play. Like
that is
genuinely insane. And literally free hitting next week, clearly with his Palace.
Must be.
Joy
it probably isn't.
As well. Probably got Bruno, probably got Munoz, Henderson.
Yeah.
Watkins.
Yeah. I mean, that
Watkins as well.
People that did the Gakpo to Watkins move a few weeks back, and then obviously, probably had assistant manager slot. That's been fantastic.
Yeah. Been good. It's been good. Guys in the chat and anybody who's listening back, if you would do us the great honor of hitting like if you enjoy the content that we do. If you want to see more from us, make sure you hit that subscribe button, notification bell, all that good stuff. And let us know in the comments how you got on in the game week. So shout out to everyone who's in the live chat now. But if you're watching back afterwards, drop us a comment. Let us know how you've got on this week and what you're doing next week, whether it's going to be free hit, whether you're going to get Haaland in. Just let us know. If you have any dilemmas or anything like that, we'll address all that on Friday's podcast, which will be when we're doing the team selection this week. And shout out to Crypto Block Dan, as always, for supporting us. Alex Volo for the graphics, for the thumbnail. Thank you to you guys. And if you want to join us over on Patreon, you can do patreon.com/AboveAverageFPL. All the games going on. Last man standing. Everyone went through this week, 5 out of 5. So, we get another step closer to that. Blackjack, I haven't tallied up yet. The So Rare Challenge, I won that this week, which is nice. It's always good to keep some money in my pocket, which is good. But talking about money out of pocket, definitely beat Baker. Marches beat Baker with Never Say Die Bourbon. So shout out to Never Say Die Bourbon for supporting us as always. A bottle of their fantastic bourbon whiskey is available to anybody that lives in the UK, beats Baker, and then gets himself in a draw, and we will draw a winner from there. You also can only win it once a season. So once you've won it, you've won it. And then we'll see what happens next year, I guess.
And there's only 2 game weeks in March, so pretty mediocre week this week, 55 points.
Yeah, 5 mil game week rank, if you can beat that. And you get free hit next week.
Exactly.
Seems like the perfect time to come in and say hello.
Exactly.
Game week 29, though, is a free hit week, technically. I've heard some chat about wildcard as well, which is just because I guess there's good fixtures out in 30 and stuff like that, and then you can maneuver and use transfers, and if you've got transfers built up, then it seems like a cool thing to do as well. But I think for anybody that needs to understand where we are when you're going into this game week, the average top 10k, or did you change this to
top 100?
top 100k. So it says
Yeah.
10k on here, but when you click submit, it says
no,
100k.
It says top 100.
Yeah, but in the blue it says top 10.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, it's roughly about the same at all rank levels, right? So we can just put it there. So roughly everyone has 8.6 players going into next game week, and this excludes keepers and excludes Cunha, basically.
Yeah. So if you so live FPL, if you go, it's like double game week ownership or something like that. It's the thing under the statistics tab.
Yep.
And you have to change it to blank game week, and it will show you the ownership of what some of the players are that are still around. But like you say, is why we take out keepers is you can only play one of them. So, and the ownership of keepers is more than one. So like Fabianski's 0.4, Pickford's 0.4, for example. Then you've got like Sells at 0.2, and then you've got Wright, Valdemarsen's like 0.1, Flecken's 0.1, all those guys. So it sort of skews the average. So think about the fact that we play 10 outfield players and there's 8.6 is the average. Again, after you've taken out Cunha, it comes to 8.6. So it means everyone needs about 1.4 players. Now, that's better than I expected.
Yeah, I think so. I think. I mean, yeah, because I mean, in theory, I don't need a player next week. In theory, I don't need a player. Yeah, I think so. Hold on, let me go back to this. Let me go back to this game week scores. In fact, actually, hold on.
I suppose all three of your bench.
Here's my team. Here's my team from last week. So like Raya plays, Gabriel plays. So my players that don't. Let's do it the other way around. Actually, players that don't play are Trent, Salah, Isak. That's it.
Wow.
Right. So I don't actually have to make a I could even roll, right? And obviously I've got a non-playing keeper pretty much, but I've got 2 transfers. So technically I'm in an okay position. So I don't need to make any transfers. Obviously there's better players out there than I do have.
Yeah.
But I don't need to.
And that's the thing, like, so the big ownership, Palmer's 95%. He's a make weight for a lot of people, but he's 95% owned. He won't go from 95 to 0. He'll still be 60, 70% owned. Boomo's 80% owned. That's not going to get worse. It's only going to get higher. He's going to be 90% owned. Wood is 77% owned.
That's going up. That's because that's people that own him, right? Because anybody that free hitting is getting him in, like regardless.
Get him in. Yeah. Clivert, similar. Clivert's like 60% owned. He's going to go up. Gab is 60% owned. Robinson's 40% owned. Now, I don't think people would have him on free hit.
Just because Spurs score.
Yeah.
Not as bad as we are, we score.
But maybe he attacks for it. I'll have to play him. Mikolenko's 30% owned. Wiss's 30% owned. Kirkus is 30% owned. 25% owned. And what you see is you'll be like, I don't really face into that every week on some of these guys. People bench some of these guys. People bench Kirkus. People bench Robinson. People bench Mikolenko most weeks and stuff, but they'll all come out and play.
Try to anyway.
Week at least. And the ownerships will fly.
Daniel Banks is quite right. Can't control Wood going up. Well played, sir. Well played.
Well played. That's the first Wood joke of the week. There'll be so many across this week, but that is the first we've had. Well played, Dan. But yeah, they are. What is interesting as you keep moving through these guys is how little City is owned. Yeah, on average, in the top 100k, 0.18 of a City player is owned.
Yeah, that's quite low. It's
quite low. Haaland is less than 5% owned in the top 100k.
But again, that's good. That'll rocket because people will maneuver him.
I'm not sure it will rocket as much as it necessarily.
Do you think it'll get to 50?
Yeah, because I think people will capture him. He's only got to get to 25.
Yeah.
They only get 25% owned, and it'll be 50% effectively owned.
Assuming everyone caps. I assume everyone will cap. Yeah.
Yeah, I think they will. But he will. It'll definitely rocket. But how big will it get to? 60%, 70% maybe.
Still hurts if you don't have him though. Like he scores a brace, right? He scores a brace, and that's like 7, 8, 9 points effective. Huge. That's painful.
But the volume of people that also get him in, but also hit, it will also be quite a big number as well.
Yeah, I suppose.
That will be a relatively big number.
I
But
suppose.
yeah, it's going to be really interesting to see how it plays out. Riderships.
Yeah, I mean, like,
Um,
I put a poll. I put a poll in the chat before we kicked off, and that's just kind of it's kind of telling us the same thing, right? So there's 190 votes, and 91% of people that have voted so far
Not free
are
hit.
not on a free hit because they don't need to. They've probably got 2 transfers,
Yeah,
or
makes
happy
sense
to
now.
take a hit. I mean, I'm happy to even take a hit this week. Really, I could do. And
And
yeah,
there's some guys that obviously a bit of riskiness, like Dango, for example. But I think for every Dango that, like, if you offered me the choice now, I'm going to play Colwill at the moment away at Arsenal. Would I rather play Dango this week, even if he comes off the bench for 20 minutes, than play Colwill this week? Yeah, I would.
yeah, I guess yeah. No, and yeah, the upside's almost certainly there.
Yeah,
But I
like
mean, I don't think the downside's any different. I think like the floor's like the same. I think they just sit at both like 1 point each.
probably, probably, but it doesn't feel good playing Colwill.
No, that's fair.
Um,
But
well,
well, we'll talk
we'll
about
work it
how
out.
we'll talk about the game, the Man United Arsenal game as well,
Yeah,
and how they went. So yeah, so it's not all. So people appear to be better prepared for game week 29 than I guess that you expected. I guess I expected as well.
mm,
And those that are free hitting, I mean, like the world's your oyster. I guess the world's your oyster. There's some good matchups there.
it's
You're gonna have more City than everyone else. You're gonna have more Forest than everyone else. You're gonna have more Man United than anyone else.
Yeah, the games look like having something like double Forest defense looks like a good game. Having any City feels a good game, and having any Man United feels a good
Yeah.
game because actually that's the limited bit. It's still quite hard to get to Bruno. It's harder than most people think to try and go well, unless you say for example
Unless you just
Palmer.
go Palmer, yeah. Unless you say this is gonna be a bad game for Palmer and just move on.
But I'm just obviously Bruno's just literally just scored against Arsenal. Like who's to say Palmer can't do that? And then he's got Tottenham.
Yeah.
And whereas Bruno's like got Leicester, and then he's got away at Forest.
Yeah, we're talking free hit though, aren't we?
Yeah, yeah. On free hit, you wouldn't have Palmer. Of course, you wouldn't
Yeah.
on that side. But
Yeah.
for selling him to get to them, is I don't think that many people. Bruno's. I actually think if you really want it, Bruno is the exciting one to captain because he'll be the lowest owned of the. I I think like the big three of captain choices is Bruno, Wood, and Haaland.
So we're not gonna have anyone that's over 100% this week, are we? Chris Wood, maybe.
I think Chris Wood will be.
Chris, like he,
I think Chris Wood will be.
he's not gonna be like more than like 105 though. Surely like 110 maybe.
No, I think Chris Wood will be like 130.
Wow, big
Yeah,
call
I
that.
don't.
Nah,
I'd be amazed if he's less than that.
we will see. We
Because
will
I,
see.
because I don't like I say Bruno will not be highly owned, so he won't take a lot out of that chunk. But I think is Haaland, as I said, might get to what, say 70%. But if Wood is 85% owned, I think half the owners of Wood will cap him.
But he's already like 80% owned. Is he not? Like 75, you say?
Yeah, 77 going into the week.
77, 80, half of that's 40, that's 120. Yeah, I suppose. Maybe. Yeah, no, that's fair. That
Can't
is
see it less than
fair.
120. Can't see it less than 120.
Fair enough. Right. That's game week 29. Let's see who we need to pick. Well, we're talking about teams already. Should we want to go and speak? Should we just quickly talk about Salah? Not that Liverpool are important for this week, but we can just.
Well, let's talk about Salah.
Well, we should talk about him because he's just broken the FPL points record with 10,
Yes.
10 weeks to go. with 10 weeks to go. Granted, there's a couple of penalties in here, of course, but
Well, granted, this is the norm. 10 penalties.
it's a lot, man.
1 in 3.
Yeah, it's a lot. It's a lot of
1 in
penalties.
3 games. I'm getting a pen. This is insane. 10 penalties. But it's weird, isn't it? We'll moan about it now, but like last year, Palmer was getting a penalty 1 in 3 games, and we were like, we're all happy to enjoy it. Like Salah's that person now.
Mm.
Um, there, the late one is just a bit silly in terms of the handball, but the other one is the Darwin one is very, very, very similar to the João Pedro one, where and not every team does this. Not every team does what they do, but this is practiced. This is stuff that's known. This is like I want to put myself in the way between the defender and the ball.
What like
And
We're not talking about João Pedro specifically, but Marco Silva literally said it. He said the striker did an excellent thing, and if that was on my team, I'd be wanting a penalty. He said like
yeah,
that's exactly how players win penalties.
that's what it is. I'm not actually looking to do anything with the ball here. I'm just going to put myself in the way because I can see that that person is going to move their boot towards it. It's going to be a pen. It's a
Yeah,
win of a pen. It's like the modern way now, isn't it? Like because you can't really get away with the dive. Um, so what's the new way? Well, actually, make it that you can't overturn it if it's given
yeah, that's
because
it.
it got contact.
Yeah,
I've initiated contact. I got contact. I'm getting a pen.
yeah, that's true. That's true. The initiating contact's the important thing because I think by putting your foot somewhere where you can be kicked is very different to leaving your foot in, so you can be like, if you know what I mean, like leaning to the right so you can get taken out is very different to putting your foot next to the ball because you know that's where the defender's going to be kicking through.
Yep.
Right. So you're always going to get one in the back.
I was
Um,
going to get it. I mean, this was, if you think about it, this was almost like as bad a performance from Liverpool as you any of us could have imagined in that they would have done. So is this was much lower in expectation from what we saw from Liverpool than how it played out. And the XG is 4 versus 0.3. What would this XG have been if they turned up?
well, yeah, because there's literally nothing for the first. Well, there's the one chance in the first half hour. And that's it. That's it.
What would this have been if they come out flying? He had to make the triple sub. Um,
I
get them
think. I
going.
think yeah, and I think regardless, that substitution or similar type of substitution was going to be made anyway. I don't think there
Yeah,
was any. I think he was hoping it was going to be different people, right? I think he was kind of hoping it was like 3-0 up and I can bring Mo off type thing.
yep.
But yeah. And weirdly, actually, we know how good Salah's been in the second half of games. Like he never
Mm.
scores in the first half of games anyway. But I think if you look at his goal involvements first half versus second half, it's insanely skewed towards second half.
Minutes monsters are magnificent. Minutes monsters that take penalties are magnificent. We've seen today Bruno obviously score a free kick early and then have the last chance of the game.
Yeah.
Why does he have the last chance of the game? Because he's incredibly fit. He'll get to that place where everyone else do. It happens with Salah all the time. All the time. He hasn't done nothing. And then, oh yeah, he just heads past someone and runs onto it in the 91st minute and scores.
Yeah.
Like,
That is what he does.
is what he does. Even the pens. Like, I tweeted a video of it because you watch him before he scores that first pen and it looks pressure. It looks like, because it's not like, oh, I don't know where Salah might put this one. He's had 10 pens. Like, he has to keep thinking about where am I going to put this one because the keepers have all studied me.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And it's just made him better. This is the best he's ever been at pens. That one to the left, he's bent it as well as put it into the corner, so you've got no chance. And then the other one, he's just put it so hard and high and gone, go on then, you're going to go the same way again. I'm just going to whack it.
Yeah.
Um, it's it's an art. That's why he's so hard to take on. Um, yeah,
We'll see what happens.
it,
We'll see what happens in the week for them. Obviously, the PSG game, and then they get
yeah,
FA Cup. Sorry, Carling Cup, League Cup, whatever it's called, Carabao Cup final.
Carabao
That
style.
thing,
Yeah,
the one that we could have been in.
the
And then
the
yeah,
the,
then it's
interesting
quick turnaround, right?
part with Haaland as well, isn't it? Is No matter what happens in that Brighton game, you have to double down. If you get Haaland, you have to take him. You have to captain Haaland in 30, don't you?
Yeah. Yes.
You can't have Haaland home to Leicester and not cap him.
No.
It is a big deal taking him on.
There is a world where you can get both.
Yes, it's easy to get both.
So I think Palmer now has allowed that to happen. And that's why I'm kind of half keen on it.
Yeah.
I'm more keen than I was last week.
I think I think a lot of people are currently looking at Palmer for Haaland. It's the best way for me. But that also means you lose Isak, yeah?
Yeah.
Which is, you say, yeah, but home to Brentford ain't the worst fixture in the world.
I've been taking on Chris Wood I'll be taking on Chris Wood next week, mate. Like Isak's least of my worries.
Yeah.
130% Chris Wood. Fuck.
Yeah. But it's and then you'll be taking on 60% Palmer a couple of times as well.
Yeah.
But in game week 30, if you get Haaland and you sell an Isak, you sell a Mo, or you sell a Palmer, do all of those type of stuff, there's a lot of big boys you've got to take on in 30. There's a lot of big boys, and I think that's just something that people just have to be like, I'm really comfortable with it.
I don't think anyone can be totally comfortable with all of this, though. I mean, you can't be totally comfortable with it.
But the opposite is you take on one person. You just take on Haaland. And that's what I'm wrestling with is, do I think he's potentially the best captain for the next two? Yeah. Am I more comfortable with taking one guy on than I'm taking on maybe three guys that I really like and possibly want back and have some money tied up in them? And I'm like, I don't know. Don't know. Yeah, it is. I think as the week plays out, I might feel a bit different to it. You never know. Like, for example, is Isak's groin flares up or something like that tomorrow night? Suddenly you feel like, well, Palmer's not there. Isak's looking a bit dodgy for minutes. This feels easier. You think about how much changed in the last week.
Yeah, loads has changed.
Can do. So, most amazing.
Most amazing. Southampton are shit. Perfect. Palmer, on the subject of Palmer, obviously misses the pen.
Yeah. Which is half of their XG.
Which is half of their entire XG. Maresca obviously comes out and says that he had a fever. So when Cole Palmer's not ice cold, he's too warm. That's obviously bad.
Cold Palmer. I mean, the signs were there.
I mean, he was warm. He was warm though. That's the problem, wasn't it? He was too hot.
Cold.
He was too hot.
Too hot.
Yeah, obviously just doesn't do anything in the game today. Not really.
I mean, he had 5 shots, but they're mostly pot shots other than the pen.
Can we just confirm these are pot shots and not pop shots, which is what Harry thought they were last night, apparently.
Did Harry really think they were pop shots?
Yes. Genuinely.
Pop shots, Harry. Pot shots.
Did you see his comeback on it as well?
No.
He was like, well, surely. So he said something like pop shots, like, having a pop, like, rather than pot shots. So surely, like, shouldn't Tupperware be Tubberware because they're like tubs? That was his comeback. It was amazing. The best thing I've ever seen.
Okay.
Pot shots from Palmer.
Pot shots. Mostly pot shots. And the team was mostly pot shots. It's still hard to trust, don't they, Chelsea? They've come up against a team that just can't attack. So they got the clean.
So they've got... Yeah, I suppose they've got Spurs, haven't they? That's the problem. The Spurs game's a problem because Spurs give you chances.
Yeah, I mean, we just literally passed 2 Evan Nielsen and Clive in the first 5 minutes. Just there you go, we'll tap those in.
Chelsea don't press the way that Bournemouth press.
Yeah, but he literally. I went to the home game and watched him score 20 odd points.
That was a while ago, mate. He hasn't scored in
Was
like 2 months.
yeah. Maybe I broke him. Um,
Dan broke him. Crypto Dan broke him
did he?
because he bought Palmer cards for everyone, so rare Palmer cards for everyone, and literally hasn't scored since.
It's the
Literally
first
hasn't.
bad investment Dan's ever done.
Literally, yeah, exactly, exactly.
Cucurella, it's cool. Like this new system they've got. He's he's as forward as Enzo. Like they perform a midfield three. He's there. Like he's fun, but
Can you go there now
the
though? I mean, I think
time's gone.
time's gone.
Time's gone.
A couple of weeks too late. You've got to get. I mean, like, is there a good time to come back on to Chelsea at all though? I'm like, when we're talking about Palmer, obviously we're talking about formerly one of the best assets in the game, but their fixtures don't really like. You have to get on them soon, but then these are the fixtures like to the end of the season: Arsenal away, Spurs at home, Brentford away, Ipswich at home, all fine. Fulham away.
Yep.
Everton at home. I
Yep.
mean, like Everton can stink games up. Then they got Liverpool, Newcastle, United, and Forest. That just says to me like none of it says buy Chelsea players.
Don't buy them, and then also they're going to keep going further in the conference. They're going to have to keep taking it more and more seriously as they go through it. It's going to become more and more important for them.
I don't know. I don't know. And yeah, in theory, yes, it should, but the league gives them the Champions League. The conference gives them the Europa League.
It does.
So there's got to be a switch there that says actually like the focus has to be on the league.
Yeah, I suppose.
And I think you need to keep playing your Georges and whatever that in the Conference League and keep giving these young guys. Look, they can hold their own at that level.
Well, they've got a big enough squad. So
yeah, exactly.
Yeah, just not many strikes.
Yeah, Harry says that was a good pop shot from Cucurella. Yeah.
Harry, when's Jackson back? If you can tell us in the chat, that would be interesting.
I mean, that's it more than anything. Like,
does that change stuff? Because Nkunku was what I watched of this game, and I was only watching side bits because obviously it was the same as Tottenham. Was that Nkunku's crap? That's pretty much it. And that doesn't. None of this helps Palmer. Like he needs Jackson back. Because Neto can play. Neto's doing a good job. Neto can play out wide though and that stuff. But game week 30-ish. Apparently. Yeah. So.
And Andrew Griffiths saying Chelsea won't make top 4. Probably don't need to. They can make top 5 and they'll get to the Champions League. So
exactly, it's so tight. It's so tight. These 2 wins have been really good for them.
Yeah,
really good.
Yeah, just had to get points on the board. Right, we know where we are with Chelsea. Okay.
People will now be tuning in, so you can say, welcome to part 2. But for those that have Palmer, they're going to skip to here.
So we all want Haaland, right?
Yeah, let's go that.
Cool. 1-0 Forest. in one of the most Nuno performances. Well, to be fair, actually, I thought like at times they took it to City like really nicely.
They took it to City whenever they wanted to. That's how I felt about it. Whenever they wanted to, they were able to go at City. But other than that, they went, it's just really clever. You just sit Milenkovic on Haaland, effectively, and say, if you want to go big, he will win header, or he'll at least make the header difficult enough
that you can't bring anybody else in.
You can't bring anybody else in, and we'll have second ball every time.
Yeah, we'll just mop it all up.
We just mopped it all up. It was just, I thought it was really clever how they work with him. And that's, I guess, the question you ask yourself is, I mean, Hurtsler's probably going to look at it and say, well, I've got a big lad like Webster or something like that I can do that with. Not sure.
I think we've seen a Haaland dispatch of. Was it actually Webster?
It was Webster, wasn't it?
It was Webster just sent him absolutely flying.
Back, yeah. But yeah, I thought it was just really smart how they did it, and whenever they wanted to, it was like, right, now we're transitioning, get down there, and they didn't hugely fashion big chances. Obviously, they scored, and then Would have had a decent chance after. But they just look so functional. Whereas they they look rank, City, and
Yeah, they
Haaland look
do.
completely disinterested.
They do look broken. They look
They look
completely
broken.
broken. Like Haaland has 2 shots, both nothing shots,
Nothing.
really. Um, I mean, like Foden ineffective. I don't know.
We're working on the basis that Brighton will try and take it to him a little bit more than this. But we should understand that Brighton not only have won their last 6 in all competitions, but do you know what the difference in points is between Brighton and Man City?
I don't, but I'm going to guess like 5, 4.
One.
Oh, is it 1? All right,
It's one.
So Brighton can go above City next week.
But what do you think they're going to do? That's not the game to win. They'll just do what Forest did and go, "You're not beating me." Like they'll all go there and be tough, like, and they'll try and spring them, and they'll do exact. They've got the blueprint here: 2 fast wingers, yeah, a worker up top in João Pedro will do exactly the same deal, and he likes playing Man City, um, and they'll sit up tough in the middle.
I just don't know whether they've. I mean, I just don't think over the last 5, 6 weeks whether we've seen, or even over the whole season, like Brighton have not been solid. So I do. I just they would
But they
have to
have been
change
more
game
solid.
plan. They would have to
They
change
have
game
changed
plan.
game plan though.
Yeah.
They have changed game plan. I'll find a quote. I'll quote it tomorrow. But Hertzler did a big quote about the fact that we just weren't taking defence seriously. He literally said we weren't taking it seriously. Is we weren't constrained enough on the defensive side of the game. Is I think this was the time when we were talking about the fact of what is he doing? He's completely out of his depth and do all that stuff. He he realised it. Is they do work harder defensive, much harder defensively than they were previously. But it feels they're not going to be as good as Forest because Forest is just ridiculous.
But you're right. They've got. I mean,
Um,
you say you're right. You're right though. They've got that. They've got that front 3, 4 blueprint to make it work. I mean,
mm,
Minton, Hudson-Odoi, Mitoma, Elanga. I mean, it's kind of similar. I think Chris Wood's slightly different profile to either Welbeck or. I mean, he's obviously a different profile to Welbeck or
I think he's
João Pedro.
slightly closer to João Pedro than Welbeck in a weird way, like in the fact that he does often decoy to an extent
Yeah,
and let those wingers fly, and but I think João Pedro is a great pick for next week. Like I'd still, is because his defense is bad. Um,
I
like
mean, still
who do they play?
Kusnos.
Who do they play at right back? Like they tried to play Mateus Nunes again, and that he was horrid, like
Yeah,
horrid. Is you can't play him up against Matoma.
you can't play Rico Lewis either.
You can't play Rico Lewis up against him. So what do you do? Stick Cook? It's not about that. Well, that's not going to work out.
Yeah,
It's
they probably shouldn't have got rid of Walker, should they? They did.
it's just not a slam dunk at all. Not even close.
Yeah. But in terms of City, so in
Um,
terms of City players next week, I mean, obviously, like the Forest guys feel like they pick themselves. I think you're right. The double defense and then Chris Wood. I mean, to be fair, you could even just go. Well, no, I think double defense and Chris Wood is the way because I think we'll probably
yes.
see them pick
I,
up 1 or
I
2 goals.
I think if I was free hitting, I think it is. I personally, I'm looking at Alanga for next week. I like Alanga for next week. I like him a lot. I like Alanga and Hudson-Odoi more. I like Gibbs White. Gibbs White just likes getting booked all the time and stuff. But Alanga takes set pieces. Ipswich are not good um, at set pieces. I like it.
I think I'd probably prefer Hudson-Odoi though, because I think I'd probably prefer that.
I know you
No,
love
no, no,
Hudson-Odoi. It's like your game week 1 reboot.
no. Actually, no. Forget that. Yeah, forget that. No, rewind. No, Alanga plays on the right. I'd probably prefer Alanga just because he's up against Leif Davis, right? It's just
Yeah,
obvious because he's just bad at defending.
I really like Alanga for next week. So as
Yeah.
as it stands, I think I'll do Rodgers to Alanga will be a transfer for me next week,
Yeah.
or it will be Palmer to Alanga to facilitate getting Haaland.
Yeah. Raptor says over the last 10 game weeks, Brighton was second for XGC and Forest were 14th. Brighton very strong defensively. Good.
There you go.
There we
There
go.
you go. They like it's good. Obviously, the one thing is from Forest though, that they're just so desperate for their points. They're just going to get over the line. The other thing to note is they're coming up against Ipswich. Ipswich concede so many late goals. Like I know it. Like I'm in there with Ivan every week, and he's like, "They've done it again." We're like 2 minutes to go. They've lost the game. There's a good chance Chris Wood ain't on the pitch for those last 10 minutes.
Yeah, it's true.
That is one thing. Is Ipswich have done pretty good at stinking some games up, and then just falling over at the end. Maybe Chris Wood isn't on the pitch when we want him to be, and it's not flying for them. You think that they'll have more chances, obviously, than what they've had the last couple of games. But I don't think it's a slam dunk, Chris Wood either.
Yeah. Yeah. Raptors also quoting Hudson-Odoi XG. I don't care about that shit, man. Seriously. The man just bends it in from wherever the fuck he wants. When he wants to. He doesn't score high XG chances, mate. That's not.
He's
That's
a disciple of the Cunha
not how it works.
school of no XG. But
yeah.
he's fun, isn't he? He feels more fun, Hudson-Odoi, of the two. But I'm just
It's because he's got a double-barreled surname, mate. That's
Langa's against Leif Davies and takes the corners.
So on. And then your City assets. Who else would you get from City?
I think Savinho I still like as the midfielder if I was to get a cheaper one for next week. Right. That would be the one. Like that's one of the things I look at it and go, Savinho versus Alanga. Surely I want Savinho because I then get, and I'm like, well, Alanga plays Ipswich and then he plays his old team Man United at home, and their left back situation is not any better really. No. I'm like, I think it's just like Alanga. I think it's like Alanga rather than punting on it. The other thing, as a sneaky bit, which I'll obviously mention as you know how much I love Mr. Foden, is if I don't go Haaland, then I'll like to do Cunha to Evan Nilsson and Rodgers to Alanga, which gives me the exact money to go Boomo to Foden in 30 if I want to. I want to just have one last dance with him for the season. It might not be last dance, but if in case I want it.
In case you want it,
it's on the table. But how do you imagine you go off Boomo to Foden and Foden doesn't play because it's a Wednesday game and it's Tuesday deadline.
That's the risk.
You know Boomo's going to play, don't you?
Yeah, Boomo's going to play them all. And he should have had points this week and all this sort of stuff. I was going to go to Man U Arsenal, but let's go to Brentford Villa.
We'll quickly do them, and then Man U Arsenal's a good segue.
I mean, there's not much else to say here. I mean, I think obviously Brentford. I feel like they're robbed of one pen. I think the other one's depends on what day of the week. It's a bit of a push, but it's that bar, isn't it? It's that bar.
We don't want them to just be like, oh, he didn't give that one, so you must give this one. But that's exactly how I reacted.
Yeah. I know what you mean. Yeah.
Because he hadn't given the first one.
The explanation for the first one is even worse. I think more than anything.
Because Matty Cash touched it. It didn't matter
that Tosin just wiped him out.
Disassi.
Disassi just get my ex Chelsea.
Yeah. I felt Disassi actually though. He's a monster. He's massive. Like he was just getting in on everything. He put in some brilliant blocks and did some really strong work. But he also just tried to give away 2 penalties.
Yeah.
One was a slip, I suppose.
I think it was a slip, but I think that one was a slip, but still, it doesn't matter.
He still took him out.
It's one of those that happens in the middle of the pitch, and the ref goes, "Well, you were unlucky, but look, you took him out." So, yeah.
Asensio just suddenly misses out. injury.
Yeah.
But it was almost like a little warning to us because I think I've like naturally assumed Asensio goes in on wildcard. Asensio goes in on wildcard, but I'm like, his minutes have never been good. He likes getting injured.
We've also still got the Champions League next week.
They've also got the Champions League next week. But
Yeah.
obviously, what you do see is the second that he doesn't play, Rogers goes more central. Rogers looks fantastic again. Was all in around it
And that
all the time.
was, I was going to say, that was one of the concerns of not having, of continuing to own Rodgers was because of Asensio
Yeah,
and Rashford
completely different.
and options.
If Asensio is playing, Rogers is pointless, literally pointless. If Rogers is playing the 10, then I'm like, yeah, he was unlucky not to take something away from this.
Yeah.
Albeit, the thing with Rogers is still the case that his open play goals. That's all he's got, isn't he?
Yeah.
That's all he's got.
Yeah. Another
Still
hairline offside as well.
hairline. Hairline is what it is. Wissa really works hard, doesn't he, for the team? Like he really, really does work hard. He drops deep when he needs to. He does everything. It's not just a. I always used to think of Wissa as just like a weapon. You know what I mean? Like he was just all about the goals, goals, goals. But he's actually just a really nice
I mean,
all-round number 9.
he did okay. I mean, I don't think Brentford didn't create a lot, but I mean, he had 3 shots. He had 3 key passes. He was involved and around with it.
Yep.
Do I feel comfortable with him going on into 30? I don't think I want to have double Brentford attack anymore. I just don't.
Probably.
You
probably want to bench one, don't you?
They're just winding down now. They just appear to be winding down Brentford a little bit, or trending in the wrong direction.
I mean, don't forget, Brentford were, once Tony left, Brentford on the bookies weren't far off relegation.
No.
Like outside of the promoted teams, like they were quite heavily favoured by the bookies that they might be in a scrap. So they've actually been incredible this season, in terms of what they've done. But yeah, they probably are where you expect them to be at the end of the season, 12th.
Yeah. And I think that's fair enough. I just think when I've got Wissa and I've not got Chris Wood, it just feels like an immediate upgrade. just immediate. I mean, do I need to rush to it? I don't know. Don't think so, but it feels just like an immediate upgrade. Even for the rest of the season.
Yeah. But I think next week, Bournemouth, I felt like Bournemouth were quite nice to play against. Is so I think I don't mind Brentford attackers at all next week. Where it goes after that, work it out later.
Yeah. Outside of that, Villa blank this week, right? So
everyone's got Watkins is selling him because he's just the perfect mate weight for Haaland, isn't
he? Yeah. Yep.
Or he's the perfect mate weight for Wood. One of the two. But Watkins will be sold by all this week.
Moving on, let's go to United versus Arsenal. Let's touch on this game. I mean, again, I think this game played out the way I kind of expected it to. United have got they got most of their players fit, and they're looking to try and do something, and Arsenal still missing this front line. As bad as PSV were in the week, United's backline is better. Like it's not their backline is not terrible. So they're just not creating enough chances, Arsenal, at the moment. And yeah, okay, like they get some good chances near the end. And
one big one, obviously Martinelli at the end.
Martinelli comes in. I mean, he was greedy as hell when he came on the pitch. He was just like, I just need to score.
Yeah. But he just causes problems that everyone else you might want to look at for that week, isn't it? Because you're like, I just don't know what's going to happen. So obviously, when Harry comes off after 58, so you're like,
yeah,
like that. And then you're like, well, sometimes he plays in the same position as Trossard, so you don't like that. Don't like any of it.
Yeah. I mean, Trossard had chances, though. Trossard did have chances.
I,
um,
I,
in
he's
there.
still a sneaky pick for free hit. I would almost be more tempted, especially if you were like if you're on free hit. I would be more tempted to go Trossard than I would be to go say Savinha, because I don't think Chelsea, especially I think you can still get to Chelsea. Um, I don't mind it. 6 shots today.
Again, he is
He's the
greedy
one.
though. He's also greedy.
He's greedy. He's greedy. Odegaard and Trossard are basically like we're sort of more elder statesmen here. We're going to step up and do more to it. Marino had 1 shot today, 0.1 xg. Like they hogged it. That's what you'd do, wouldn't you? If you were Arteta. I mean, Arteta's angry. It's an interview.
Nope.
Oh, you'll like it. See the smile on my face. You'll
I'll,
like it.
I'll I'll watch it. I'll watch it afterwards.
Yeah, yeah. He got sad and angry. Um, but yeah, it feels like the sort of more elder statesmen are trying to step up. Rice even similar. The goal that was disallowed against PSV was incredible as a finish, and this one was a good finish again. I do think the big boys are trying to keep them there, but realistically, they're going to be in top four now, and they ain't going to win the league.
Yeah, that's
Champions
it.
League's going to
Champions
be
League's will be the focus.
tough. You must think though, like yeah, if Arsenal beat Chelsea next week, that's like nailed on now. No chance there's anything but Champions League football for us. Can't
Yeah.
buy them.
Yeah. True.
Can't
True.
buy them.
You wouldn't
Yes,
even delve into. I mean, Saka's going to be back in a couple of weeks, is he not?
exactly. And then what happens then? When he's back, yeah, Saka's a different story, but
Yeah.
we can wait on that one.
We can wait. Okay, fair enough. And
Bruno,
then
would you if you had Bruno? Let's play it through the games. If you owned Bruno, Haaland, and Wood, who would you cap?
I wouldn't cap Wood in that. In that,
So he'd be third.
he'd be third, definitely.
So Bruno or Haaland?
I don't know, man. That's.
I think it's tough. I
I
think
think. I think
but like,
Bruno's. I think Bruno's a fun pick. I think Bruno's a fun pick.
and I just think it's so limited the ownership.
It's Leicester again, though, isn't it? It's Leicester. I don't feel like you can make a bad decision when you target Leicester or Southampton. You just can't. You just can't make a bad
No,
decision. It just doesn't work.
the only thing potentially to watch out for is 120 minutes on Thursday night.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah.
That's the
No,
only
that's
thing
fair.
I'd say. If you're buying Bruno, I
Wait.
genuinely, I know he'll go up, and I know he'll play all of it, but you just might be like, do I want to? Because you have to do some stuff. You have to sell some big boys. No one's been sitting around with like 2-3 million in the bank just waiting for him.
There are some people that will just if they don't need to do anything with their front line, which I guess they probably do, but they might just carve money out of Trent for him anyway. So you're not going to need to. You're not going to need to stress.
Even still though, it's like what if you think about everyone's teams? So Salah, Palmer, Boomer, yeah.
Hmm.
Then a Bournemouth mid,
Yeah.
then one other, and that one other is normally Rodgers, 20% owned. Bowen is 20% owned. Another Bournemouth mid is also around those roads. The actual money up, you're not going to do Bowen to Bruno.
No.
You're not going to do Bowen to Bruno. You're not going to do your Bournemouth mid unless it's Dango. But Dango to Bruno
It's like
is 3.2
3.2.
million.
Is it 3.2?
3.2. Yeah,
3.2.
5 up to like 8.3.
Mm, that's
So
all
you've got to
right.
take 3 million out of him, which means you've got to go like
It's Trent to Cresswell.
4.0. Trent to Cresswell, something like that, or Trent to Agbadu.
Yeah. Reasonable.
It's reasonable.
Chase
If
the
that's what
points,
you
mate.
want.
Chase the points.
It's reasonable. But then you get, like I say, you go 1 week on, and you're like Trent home to Everton.
There's derby games, mate. I don't trust derby games for cleans. I don't know.
Yeah, yeah. I think Trent's easily sellable, easily sellable. But and I think Bruno is a fine captain option.
So
I
we
don't, I don't think I can get there, Bruno.
on free hit. How many would you get? Any other Man United players? Garnacho,
Mazraoui looked,
Mazraoui.
he was so much fun today. Like even the Xerxes, the little flick
Yeah,
that I could say, but Mazraoui was like 2 yards away from him again. Like he was constantly in the box. Yeah, I don't think there's a huge number of standout defenders, eh, but like if I said to me Mazraoui versus like Mazraoui versus an Ain't Nouri is probably like my third defender. He might be
again,
the one.
like a free hit. I could see myself going Onana over Sells and then getting Elanga instead and getting like 2 Forest attack rather than that.
Yeah,
I think that feels more fun. Like let's go. Let's just go back to this one right here. 0.1 xg. 0.1. I mean, like if I had. Hold on. Let me just do this.
Mazraoui would on free hit. I think I would go Mazraoui all day long.
Let me see what were they
It looked
last
like
week?
a 15
Oh, they
pointer
were a
could
little bit
just
better last week.
pop in.
Leicester.
A non-owned 15 pointer. Mazraoui.
Yeah, I'm just
It'd be an
looking.
free hit draft.
Leicester have had some really. I mean, this is the Arsenal one. Oh, I've done that on the wrong thing. Oops.
Oh dear.
Oh dear, what an error that is. Oh, forget it. Whatever.
Forget it.
But they're bad.
So, let me give you the question on free hit. What if it's Mazraoui versus Gabriel?
I would probably go Mazraoui.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd probably go Mazraoui.
Maybe Gab's the one that you let go.
Maybe.
Free hit is about like maximizing opportunity and stuff. Maybe I'd be really tempted with like Milenkovic versus Ipswich. Go for that set piece. You know what I mean? And a Mazraoui and a Ain't Nouri.
So this is probably another conversation and probably one to be had on Friday more than anything. But
yeah,
like how much of non-free hitters do we need to cover if we were on free hit? I don't think you need to think. I don't think you need to think about them at all, apart from Chris Wood.
Chris Wood is the only one.
Like that's the only one. And then you can just like take your pick.
Because the others are not the ones that you want really in your team.
No,
like, you don't really want. Everyone's got Bumo, so he's not really a problem. Cliver for you is what? So let's just do Tottenham now. Let's get them done. Because
am I okay to like discount the first 10 minutes of the game though? Because like can you imagine any other team just doing that and giving Bournemouth
just giving a 1xG head start?
Yeah, exactly. Like, it's just out the blocks.
But I think the important part to it, and this is the difference for Bournemouth to an extent of what they had earlier in the season. Evan Nilsson's a miles better presser than Dango Hotel.
He's an absolute monster at it.
Is an absolute monster at it. So would they potentially get more of this kind of stuff? Look, we've seen it. Who was it? The old Vandenberg, wherever it was, the back pass early in the season and stuff. Like he immediately, within a few minutes, you were like, oh yeah, they paid 60, 70 million for him. Like yeah. Yes, they spent all the slanky money straight on him. Like he pressed fantastically at the start and throughout the whole entire game.
It's weird. It's weird because I felt, and I guess we're going to move into sort of talking about Spurs here a little bit, but I felt like for the most part, this is the thing. The amount of times that we play out the ball from the back, like we gave up 4 or 5 good chances probably. Like, and we played that passage of play out from the back 30, 40 times, maybe more. Like we're not bad at getting through the press. Like I don't think we're terrible at getting out the press. the problem is when we make mistakes, they're so fucking stupid that, and they're so central.
Yeah,
It's stupid. And even when we actually try and rush stuff, like, did you notice in goal kicks, we were like immediately, like, players were like not set, and it's
yeah.
all very well trying to catch your opponent's offset, not set. But if you're not set in any way, shape, or form, like that first pass is just like, well, okay, everyone just turns around and just like, oh, okay, we're already here. We don't even have to press. We just have to take 5 steps towards you
We're
and
the
just go man for
riskiest
man.
team that have no offset of being the most attacking team. Like it's not like, yeah, we're really risky, but we're gonna score five.
Yeah.
Yeah, we like look at it. Look how little, obviously we had chance back in the start, but then really look at how little damage we caused them. And they let us have huge amounts of ball.
Yeah.
Huge amounts of ball in those middle periods. They were just waiting to stuff us. Now the interesting part will be Bournemouth Brentford. It's like it's like the Spider-Man image, isn't it? Do you know what I mean? A point in one point or the
Yeah.
other. Like, how's that going to work? Are they just going to stalemate it out, or is it going to be in
It'd be
four? Like,
carnage.
it's really interesting. Um, and Villa Brentford for me isn't are also quite similar to Bournemouth and Brentford. And the blueprint we had there is that was real end-to-end games. You felt like there were goals, both more goals than what there were.
Mm.
Um, but yeah, Evan Nilsson was a straight upgrade, and it was all actually become almost more noticeable when Dango came on. Dango suddenly looked clumsy, where he hasn't really looked clumsy at all, but suddenly it was like, oh, it was a bit awkward. What's he doing? Um, you know, he he could have scored like the Clivert one off the post. If he just was, it seemed like he was on his heels for that. Like I
Mm.
thought he was just going to slot in. He
I
didn't
mean,
even really get a shot off.
he's far better. He's far better than I'll have given him credit for at all this season. Evan
Yeah, I
Nilsson,
was
like, he's
really
far better.
impressed.
Um,
I looked honestly at half time. I was like, well, I need to get him in my team. Because I have got striker spot. I've only got one striker currently going into next week, so I'm like, well, which is the guy? Well, I want him. Um, so I suspect because it looks like Cunha might drop tonight. I'll have a look when we get off this one, but I might just do Cunha to Evan Nielsen tonight because I can't really get Haaland without selling Palmer and Isak anyway. I'm not selling Mo. Yeah, so if I sold Mo, I could do Cunha to Haaland, but I'm not selling Mo. Um, I just don't have the interest to do that. Um, and so yeah, I'll sell him, and then that frees up like one and a bit million quid anyway, and then I've either got the option to just do one other transfer, or I'll take a -4 and do Palmer and Isak out. But big boys, big decision. That's a Friday. That's that time. But yeah, I thought he was really good. Then you get to Tav,
I was going to say, would you move
and
Dango to Tav? Would you just go that sideways move? Because like
I like Tav.
he comes off, but he starts the games, right?
Starts the games. Is do you remember about 5 6 weeks in we were saying like Tav and Semenyo both had the most shots,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
and like I said, I in tweeted earlier I was like I think people have forgotten how solid Tav's minutes were. Like I think they just thought, oh, Dango's slot in, but Tav and Semenyo are the guys.
And
Um,
Clivert's made himself the guy. He's literally
Cliver
he's just
wasn't the guy
no,
early
he
on. He's
wasn't at the
making
time,
himself
but
more and more.
he's now just yeah. But do you?
He was so good today,
So there's a
Cliver.
question here though. I mean, there's a question. Obviously, Evan Nielsen coming in. Do you think Evan Nielsen just takes pens back, or do you think like Clivert's
Nah,
like fuck this? Oh, this is mine.
Cliver's too good.
Yeah, that's fair.
It
I agree.
really
I think
fe
that's fair.
I almost feel like Cliver stepped up because Evan Nielsen was back
Yeah,
today.
yeah,
Like
I know what you mean.
it was so unbelievable. Like obviously he scores or not. The goal was so good, and it's a stupid offside, the Semenyo one. Um,
Yeah, yeah.
but yeah, if that Evan Nielsen two Cliver goes in, like Cliver's a captain option next week. He is a captain option. Like if you want an outside one, he's there. No one's going to do him, but he's there. for me, I might only have out of the big three, as it were, Wood and Cliver. Well, out of the I don't know Wood out of the big three, and Cliver probably my vice. Um, but it, he's in with a shout. Um, Dango, you'll get 20 minutes. Probably get 20 minutes.
Yeah.
He's
It's
playable.
weird. I get to this place where I'm like, oh, I can roll, and all at the same time, I'm like, I'm not really sure I like my team. At the same time, and all the players that I want to move out are, well, I don't know. They're just. I mean, maybe it's just a case of just leave him there till wild card and then just deal with it then.
Yeah, because go the other way with Dango. This is the big benefit of keeping Dango. I firmly suspect he gets home Ipswich.
Mm.
He starts home Ipswich because the City game in the FA Cup before home Ipswich is still Ramadan. Yeah, which Dango does Ramadan.
Yeah.
That could go 120 minutes. He ain't doing 120 minutes on Ramadan. That ain't happening. But the sensible thing is
Plays Evan
he
Nilsson,
starts
and then he
play Evan
plays
Nilsson,
Dango. Yeah. Yeah. No,
which
that's
is
fair.
also the potential downside of Evan Nilsson is he might not
Get
if they
Ipswich.
play he might not get Ipswich. That's the but I don't think because it's like 2.5 weeks after. I think it's really hard to just like now yourself to the mast on that's exactly what will happen. So if
Mm.
people did sell Dango, I'd be like, well, yeah, it's fine because you needed to do something now. New information is sometimes better than waiting on this one. And we're all gonna, if you're gonna wild card in 31, then it's definitely the case. But I think I would be. I think if I had Dango, I really would feel like quite confident that he gets the Ipswich game. But again, they're in this European battle too. It's
Yeah.
really bloody tight. They
Yep.
got to win it. They can't afford slip ups, and they are slipping up. Bournemouth.
Carabao is Liverpool, Newcastle.
Yep.
So that'll take a league spot for Europe as well. So one will go in there.
Yep. Well, it takes
And
Newcastle. If Liverpool win it, then it goes back to the league, doesn't it?
well, if
If
Newcastle
Newcastle
win
win
it,
it,
they'll go back to the league as well because Newcastle will probably qualify for Europe, won't they? Well, I suppose maybe they won't.
they'd qualify for Europe through there. So yeah, we'll go to the league. Maybe it's tight.
Well, it would go down if they. It would go down. Well, I mean, I don't know whether there's a maximum amount of people that
But everyone's in amongst it. Like
Newcastle were
fourth is
ninth. Shit, man, I didn't realize that.
honestly right.
I suppose they win and they go back up to fifth, ish, fourth,
That
sixth. Sorry.
it sounds all season. It sounds like the worst thing in the world that Tottenham are 13th and Man United are 14th. But you look at the teams above; they're all fantastic. I don't really have that big a problem with it. I really don't. I think Brighton, Villa, Bournemouth, Newcastle, Fulham, Palace, these teams in and around it. You're like, they're all really good.
Yeah,
They're all really good.
Palace are good. 3.4 xG they put up against Ipswich without Jean-Philippe.
Jean-Philippe.
Did well. See, Sarr did the old celebration.
Nice. They did do well.
I thought. I mean, just before we get into the actual football stuff, the interview with Glasner saying that it was like some sort of tribute, like he'd actually passed away, was ridiculous.
Tribute. King the Kingdom. Because he died.
But yeah, no, it was cool. I mean, it shows good squad, good squad camaraderie and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah,
whatever. Anyway,
even
they're
then, it
a
was
good
like,
team.
when he watches it, like he's like coma, like in a coma.
When he sees it in a year's time.
Glasner was like, I think he's probably seen it, mate. He's probably seen it.
Had a live feed to his house.
He was probably watching it
He-
right now.
he's probably in Selhurst Park.
Yeah.
He's probably in a
No,
box.
He's resting. Um,
It's good though.
Ipswich could have won it. Like they had big old chance at 0-0. You know, Henderson. I think I've explained this before, but Flapjack calls Henderson Big Dick Henderson. And all I was getting all afternoon was BDH in the chat. Fucking afternoon. And I was there because obviously I don't know. Munoz was like, I just need it wiped. So I was like, fuck it, BDH.
Should have scored as well, Munoz. Should have scored as well.
I mean, like, is it? It just mandatory 0.4 XG, 3 shots. This is a defender.
But it's defender that's pressing and capitalising on defensive mistakes. Like that doesn't happen.
Big chance at the end. Yeah. Jesus. Like 6 points, we got away with it.
Well, that's the good thing about when he does miss, he gets called in the bonus. He just doesn't get it.
Get the bonus. Yeah.
Just doesn't get it.
Yeah. Richards was good on the bonus, I thought. He got booked as well. His baseline was high. But yeah, it's so predictable that it sits in that front four. So Saar 1.3 XG, and Nketiah 0.8, Eze 0.59, Munoz 0.4. So that's over 3 of their XG. And they got 3.42 XG.
Mental.
It's like 80% is going to those 4 in those spaces. Really interesting.
Predictable. It's those predictable ones again.
Game week 31 wildcard. Saar, we will be there, I think. I think we might be. Saar over Eze, maybe. Because he's cheap, isn't he? Cheap.
Mr. Volo captained Saar this week. I like it.
Cucurella last week.
Cucurella last week. Saar this week.
Yeah.
Incredible. What is that? Hold on. So that's what? 5, 8, 9, 12. 24
12
points.
we got, yeah.
Jesus Christ. Good work, Alex.
It was 11, I think, and then it went up 1 today.
Ah, okay.
Yeah, Henderson.
Oh, yeah, because Henderson dropped
last night.
Yeah. Okay, moving on, because I think we need to get the last couple in.
Just remember that Palace. So part of my brain said Ipswich kept this quite cagey. It's only 1-0. But you look at the XG and it's 3.4.
Yeah, I don't know. Where's...
And that's like, again, it's paddling time. You like, Palace have not been free-flowing attack, certainly at home. So Forest can do those numbers. I know it's Ipswich, but Forest can do those numbers.
Sorry. How many shots do we think Chris Wood has then?
Well, probably 3 for about 1.2 XG.
Which is enough for like 4 goals, isn't it? Something like
that? On average for the season, that'll get him 2 goals.
Yikes. Yeah. That's going to be painful.
Yeah. This wasn't painful for you though, mate.
No, this was the nicest text that I received all afternoon. I was out in the garden doing some stuff. Did about 20,000 steps without leaving my house.
Stayed green for quite a while. I texted you. I was like, Pedro's getting a penalty.
I hadn't seen the message.
And he hadn't seen the message. I was like, what's he doing? Pedro's getting a penalty.
Yeah. I mean,
Leno was actually relatively close to it. Actually, he did all right to it because, like, he just. I was like, oh, he's got a penalty. That's a goal. You just assume it's a goal, and obviously it still was a goal. But he did all right for it. But it wasn't just the pen. Like, he hogged a lot of the chances. He's had like 75% of their XG in this game. Obviously, the pen's half of it, but. But he's had half of the other stuff. Like, he should have scored. I think it's about 50, 55 minutes. Yeah. And he's still on the pitch at 90. That's, again, same game.
With the options,
Salah,
yeah,
Pedro.
that's it.
If he's on the pitch at the end of a match, he's a better asset.
Yeah, I mean that's
Because
old man Welbs, isn't it? Though can only get to 75.
makes it good, doesn't it?
What is Welbs now? Yeah, 34. So you'd hope the young gun can actually just stick it out. What's João Pedro? 22,
Yeah, 20, maybe 23
23,
now.
just turned
23,
23. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, we didn't mention the Kirkes cross for Tav.
Oh, God, that was good, wasn't it?
Like, but how good was Iwobi's cross for Jimenez as well? Like, they're the two best crosses
Nice
I've seen
goal.
all season by far.
Nice
Like,
goal.
and Trent put some good balls in this. I saw the one at Portman Road, but this is like
Yeah,
next level.
Yeah, Kirkus was beautiful, and the Iwobi one.
Proper finish as well. Really, really
Proper.
good goal. Terrible defending for the Van Heck goal.
Good header, though.
Good header. I just think that's so. It's interesting though, like giving defenders or just giving up that space. You know, we didn't speak about Tottenham options on free hit next week.
Absolutely not. Well, I'll tell you what.
On free hit,
We,
no.
we might
Maybe?
mention. We might mention
get-
to Tottenham options
Could you
on
get Dom?
Friday,
Dom,
but
maybe
not before
No?
Friday.
Not before Friday.
Let's see what happens Thursday night, and then work it out after.
Okay, fair enough. That's fair. That's fair. It's always going to be European hangover stuff as well.
Yeah.
But again, this is not a game that Fulham. I mean, it's a relatively quiet game for them. Just, I mean, don't get me wrong. Brighton have been better, but it was pretty cagey affair. This not
Really, KG.
not much in the way of chances. And to be fair, both teams are, you know, where they are in the table right now versus where I think everyone would think they were at the start of the season versus also where I think some people put them a bit further down in the league. I think in all manners there, these two teams match up quite fairly and quite evenly. And I think it played out in that way.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean,
Um,
Brighton, as I said, you know, obviously, if you win a lot of games, it helps really, really quickly. Like this team were very, very close. They're now a little bit further apart, you know,
Yeah.
from where they were. You know,
it's like 6 in a row or something, isn't it?
6 in a row competitions. I think it's
That counts.
4 leagues,
4
4 league wins.
six
But it's enough, isn't it? It's enough. It propels you forward. But yeah, they are a tight team, and like these team between them have had 19 draws between the two teams.
That's
Like
a lot.
not between each other, but 10 draws for Brighton so far this season and 9 draws for Fulham so far this season. These are often relatively cagey affairs. They just did the stupid thing at the end. Harrison Mead was stupid.
Yeah.
Pedro was really clever. He was stupid. Equals a pen.
Yep.
And he just, it's still the same game. If Pedro scores, he gets top bones because he works hard.
Mm.
Still good. I
Raul?
would have a lot more points if I hadn't sold him. Nah,
Yeah.
you can't be going over it. I think a lot of places predicted that Muniz would start this game. Jimenez starts the game. Even that, the fact that you've got different people predicting stuff and do all that stuff, I'm like, I ain't going nowhere near it.
Not on a free hit. Fair enough. Finishing up with this wonderful fixture.
I didn't see this game at all.
Nor did
So
I.
I don't know if you did, because it was
Nope.
8 o'clock last night. It was it's my anniversary tomorrow. 10 years married tomorrow.
Congratulations.
Yeah, I've got big week. I've got 10-year anniversary on Monday, and I've got Eddie's 6th birthday on Wednesday.
Happy days.
I'm not sure if I'll get a Patreon video out this week.
Fair.
I'm not sure if I'll get away with that one, but I'll try. So yes, I was out for dinner last night. So yeah, didn't see much other than, you know, once the after dinner, once the wife went to the toilet, I was like, check the score, 1-1. I'll stuff this. That was really that. Sent the goals, but
I haven't even seen the goals.
oh,
Haven't even seen the goals.
So Beto still had some chances, missed some chances. Manetzi, who is interesting. So if you need to really drop down, was what, 4.5 midfielder?
I wouldn't sacrifice in midfield though. I just think there's too many options in midfield.
Yeah. But like if you needed, for example, if it was you could sell, if you really wanted Haaland and you wanted to sell Palmer rather than Salah, and you had to go all the way to 4.5, then Manetzi's there. I think I would.
They're saying
I
he's
think I would
5
take.
in the chat as well. That's even
Oh,
worse.
he's 5, is he? 5.
Yeah. I think the biggest thing, and someone's mentioned it either as well in the chat as well, but Fast Airs have said, is ain't Nori worth it without Cunha? I just don't think Wolves are worth it without Cunha. I just think I think I said it on Thursday. I just don't trust anything about them. Do I love having Ain't Nori this week? Not particularly, but it is still Southampton, so it's okay.
Still Southampton, and he still did have a couple of shots. So he still did, and he still did. You know what you still like about it here is that he came off his wing, as it was, had a shot like 20 yards out in the middle of the goal, and you're like,
yeah,
well, you don't see that often for defenders, so that'll do me.
Yeah, I mean,
Southampton.
I mean, I benched him this week for Mikalenko, so that went really well. I mean, didn't really. If there's any excuse I need to,
I was sweating over whether I had Mikalenko or Robinson as my second sub, and didn't need either of them. But 2 and 0 points, which means I technically won because I did Mikalenko ahead.
Well done, you. Well, I did Mikalenko over 8 Nori. I think it was 2 each. So
2 each.
Yeah. I don't think they're a buy. I don't think Everton are a buy. You know,
if you've got Beto, you play him.
They've got West Ham. Is it? Oh, I missed
West Ham at home.
Yeah, West Ham and then Liverpool. Like, okay.
Yep.
No, you're not touching on free here.
I think a lot of people that are planning Beto will now just look at Evan Nilsson or João Pedro.
Yeah. Which is reasonable.
Very reasonable.
Which is reasonable. And then...
Is that it?
We're done.
We're done.
Perfect. Hour and a half, almost on the nose, and no internet issues. What an absolute perfect pod.
Get out before anything can go wrong.
Absolutely. So shout out to everyone in the chat. Thank you very much for joining us. Shout out to Gary, who is FPL Have a Beer. Check out a video coming from him on Tuesday, which is going to feature me. Which is
You've
nice.
got a pod on Tuesday coming out.
Well, yeah, it's coming out. I'm not recording it. I'm heading off to the Netherlands in the morning for work. So as I've said, we're going to be podding on Friday. We'll do Game Week 29, our team selection, plus a free hit of sorts. We'll definitely chuck a free hit in there or a couple of free hits for people.
Yeah.
So we can have a look. Thanks to everyone for liking the stream so far. 110 of you have liked the stream. 111 of you have liked the stream. Just one just appearing there. Make sure you hit subscribe if you want to see more from us. That's the good stuff. That's the free stuff. Thank you very much. Crypto Block Dan, Alex Volo. Head over to patreon.com/aboveaveragefpl. Get involved over there. If you had Salah, well done. If you had Palmer, unlucky. And we will see you on...
That was the least meant unlucky I've ever heard. Because you were... Stuff that. I was on Palmer. I moved off him. So yes, I won.
I said to Praz was like, oh no, we can't have the debate settled like this. No. I was like, yeah, look, just I want more of it. I want another missed penalty. I want an own goal. I want him sent off. I want all of it. Give me all of it.
I see that training course worked really well. So balanced.
Oh man, let's call it there before I get into trouble.
See you later.
Catch you later, mate.
We do it now.